Hey guys, welcome to my new movie collections update video for the month of April. Got a bit of a funny story about this video. I mean, this is I believe the third time that I'm recording this video already because the past two times when I recorded it, I stored it on my laptop and for some reason I forgot about it, and I ended up accidentally erasing it. And it's gotten to a point that I got aggravated the last time I did it. So hopefully this will be the version that finally makes the cut and makes it onto YouTube. So. Anyway, again, guys, thank you for joining me on this new video. I'm glad you guys are still here, those of you that are still here. As always, give this video a thumbs up if you like what I have to say about the films I'm about to show you. Leave me comments, suggestions, subscribe to my channel. Share this video around with other people, too, that are movie collectors also, All right, guys? So let's get started. So the first film that I have to show you is this film called Cold Comes the Night with Bryan Cranston. And I believe the only reason why I picked this up was because Bryan Cranston is in it. Of course, I loved him in Breaking Bad. He's going to be in the new Godzilla movie already, so I'm really excited about that. And just to give you a quick synopsis, this movie is about, a mother and child that live and own a motel. And the mother happens to find herself in a situation where she is at risk of losing her daughter because, the child welfare agency tells her that because of the conditions that she lives in at the motel with, drugs and prostitution, that isn't, a suitable condition for children to live in. So she's at risk of losing that, and she needs to move. But unfortunately, she can't because she doesn't have a lot of money to be able to afford to move. So Bryan Cranston's character comes in, and he plays like this Russian, I don't know if he's a middleman, but I think he's part of a mob, right? And he's transporting money, from one location to the next, or from one group to another group. And, he and this other guy stop at this motel. It's like a pit stop. And something happens that night, and the money goes missing. So the entire movie basically just takes off from there, and Bryan Cranston ends up using this woman, because she knows the people around the motel, and she knows the police department as well, somebody in the police department, and he uses her basically to try to get the money back, because he suspects he knows who it is that took it. So that's basically the entire premise of the entire movie. I really found it enjoyable. I really did like it. I did like Bryan Cranston's performance in here. It's very similar again to how he plays, Walter White, Heisenberg over in Breaking Bad. The only difference, of course, is that he's speaking in a, Russian accent, which is kind of, pretty interesting to see him talking. So, but other than that, I really recommend this movie. It was a lot of fun. Definitely check it out if you're a Bryan Cranston fan. All right. The next movie I have to show you, of course, is Matthew McConaughey in the Dallas Buyers Club. And I have to say that this movie was really amazing. Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto's performances were unbelievable. They did so well, in order to portray the characters that, they have in this film. Again, it's about Matthew McConaughey's character. He contracts HIV, and it's about him trying to figure out what he needs to do in order to keep himself alive. He tries to go to the pharmaceutical companies to see if he can, qualify for some certain drugs that they're promoting. And he figures out that eventually those drugs weren't really working. He goes to Mexico and he finds other drugs that are really being helpful, but unfortunately, he can't bring them back to the States because they would be considered illegal substances. But what's interesting about that whole situation is that on the surface, the movie is about the character development of Matthew McConaughey's character and how he's dealing with the situation of being HIV positive, and then how he befriends Jared Leto's character, who is I believe he's gay. He's a gay character, and again, coming from two different backgrounds, they don't see quite eye to eye with each other at the beginning, but it's the friendship that they kind of form throughout the course of the movie, which is actually really interesting. The whole character dynamic changes, and it's really good. I really enjoy that part also. But on the subtext, I think one of the interesting aspects of this film is that it kind of takes a look deep into how the pharmaceutical companies at the time, because the time frame of this movie is during the 80s when the whole AIDS epidemic was really beginning to spiral out of control. And it's basically a look at how the pharmaceutical companies were dealing with this whole situation, how they were pretty much pushing certain drugs and not others, especially ones that are really harmful to the population that was at the time, most affected by the AIDS virus, which was the gay and lesbian community anyway. So, just seeing how what they were doing and which drugs they weren't promoting, things like that, it was a really interesting look into that particular world during the 80s. So, but it was a great movie. The performances in here were top notch. They were amazing. I was really, really, really impressed by these performances. So I definitely say, if you haven't checked this out, definitely check out, Dallas Buyers Club. It's definitely worth a look. The next movie I have to show you is Sandra Bullock and George Clooney in Gravity. Now, I really have to say that I was really impressed with Sandra Bullock's performance in this movie because even though George Clooney is in this movie in a certain scenes at the beginning and then part way through, past the midpoint, the whole movie really falls on Sandra Bullock's shoulders because she carries the whole thing through and through. And I have to say that she does an amazing job, pretty much taking this movie from beginning to end. Just seeing the struggles that her character goes through, always feeling like there's something else that just kind of gets pitted in her way that will kind of stop her from surviving, and how she overcomes that and makes it, all the way towards the end was truly amazing, and she did an amazing job. And just a quick premise, Gravity is about Sandra Bullock and George Clooney are astronauts. They're out in space, and I believe they're doing repairs to a satellite when something happens and debris from another satellite gets blown their way. It strikes their ship, and in the process, Sandra Bullock's character gets kind of hurled deeper into space, and George Clooney tries to guide her back to the original spaceship. Things continue to happen, and eventually Sandra Bullock is pretty much just left alone to try to fend for herself and try to fight for her own survival. So it's really amazing. The visuals on this movie were top notch. I mean, there were some points that really felt like, just the idea of being, claustrophobic, I guess. I'm not even sure if that's the right word to use for the situation that was happening, but just that feeling of deep isolation, I would say, in space, where there's nothing really that you can grab a hold on to kind of support yourself and things like that. I mean, there was some really kind of freaky scenes in here, and then there were some scenes that were kind of like had me scratching my head a little bit, but they kind of get explained later on why they were done that way. But overall, I really did like this movie a lot. I love Sandra Bullock's performance in this one. Like I said, she did everything, to keep this movie going, and it all rested on her shoulders, and she really pulled it off. So definitely, if you haven't seen Gravity, I'd say definitely check this out. The next film I have to show you is not really something that came out recently, like within the past month or so. This movie's been around for a while, especially on Blu-ray too. But I wanted to pick it up because I really did enjoy it. And it's the 10th anniversary edition of $1 Million Baby with Hilary Swank, Clint Eastwood, and Morgan Freeman. And this movie basically is about Hilary Swank's character. She kind of arrives at Clint Eastwood's boxing gym, and she's looking for Clint Eastwood to train her as a boxer, but Clint Eastwood's character doesn't want to do that. And there's a particular reason, I believe, why he doesn't want to train women to be boxers, and it has something to do more with his personal backstory, which slowly gets revealed as the movie progresses. But eventually he does kind of like, just kind of go ahead and start training her, and she develops to become a pretty, impressive boxer. She starts winning, title matches, and well, not title matches, but she starts winning matches, starts getting recognition. And I believe part of it is because it's at the time where, women in the sport of boxing wasn't as readily or recognized in the boxing world compared to their male counterparts. And you could say that she was kind of beginning to further popularize women's boxing within the film itself. And I had to say that I was really impressed with Hilary Swank in this movie, playing this role, and the skills that she developed, while working with Clint Eastwood and even Morgan Freeman, trying to teach her things, to become a better boxer. I was really impressed by Hilary Swank in this one. It was a great movie. It's very touching. It has a bit of a sad ending as well for those of you that have seen this movie. And I still really enjoyed it. It really kind of is a way of looking deep into your soul about what you're willing to do in order to kind of achieve some sort of personal goal or something like that. But overall, I really did enjoy this movie a lot. I've seen it before on cable. And I really did like it then, and I wanted to own it. So here it is. So definitely, I'd say if you haven't seen $1 Million Baby, I say definitely check it out. It really has a very great a great story, great performances all around. All right, guys. So $1 Million Baby. The next movie I have to show you is Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And this is actually the digibook format of this movie. And you can see it has, it's got stuff flying all over the place. A nice little booklet inside with a lot of small little interviews with many of the characters. I was even surprised that Danny DeVito was in this movie, and he looks really young in this film as well. Even Christopher Lloyd, I was really surprised when I saw Christopher Lloyd in this movie. It's like he looks so different. I mean, I'm so used to Christopher Lloyd from back in Back to the Future with his wild long white hair and stuff like that, and being the crazy scientist. But then he plays like a mental patient in this mental ward to begin with anyway. So it's kind of ironic that it fell that way anyway. But it's the movie's basically about Jack Nicholson's character. He gets brought into the psychiatric ward for observation because they are trying to assess whether he does have some sort of mental instability, or whether he's just kind of like playing everyone in order to kind of like just be here so that he doesn't have to work. It's interesting. I mean, I have to look at it again, the backstory about why he's there in the first place. But it starts off with this idea that not Clint Eastwood, that Jack Nicholson's character is actually fine, and it's everyone else that's in the psychiatric ward that really has problems. But as the movie progresses, we see that everybody else really their problems or issues are actually fairly normal, right? And it's Jack Nicholson's character that really ends up kind of showing that he has problems, and it's the reason why he should stay there. So it's kind of an interesting role reversal that happens throughout the course of this movie. But it's really great seeing Jack Nicholson play this character out, especially since he's so young in this movie. And everything that happened. There's some really nice comedic moments in here. There's some really tense, serious moments as well in here, especially around the nurse, because the nurse, you can really see that she's like really like the head authority, creepiest type of character in this film. But I love her performance too. Anyway, so I mean, this was great. I've never seen this movie before. I know it's based on on a novel as well, which I haven't read either. So hopefully I'll get around to reading that also, just to make comparisons between the book and the novel. The book and the book and the film. I'm running beside myself, guys, today. I can't even speak correctly. Anyway, again, definitely check this movie out. It's definitely a classic. That's what I've been getting into a lot lately, is trying to pick up classics. So, and this one's definitely worth an add to your collection if you haven't done so already. So definitely pick up One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And the last film that I have to show you is, of course, the Oscar winner for Best Picture, and that is 12 Years a Slave. And my goodness, man, this movie, really, really further opened my eyes to, again, the horrors that were happening during the South, especially when slavery was still very much, dominant in those areas. And the performances in here were amazing. There were moments that I was moved. I was left feeling kind of like vulnerable in some parts for some of the characters, and I even felt very teary-eyed, when everything comes to a conclusion towards the end. I mean, so much that happens in this movie, and it's about the main character who is living in upstate New York. He's a freed slave, and he kind of gets coerced into going to perform elsewhere because he's a violinist, and he's coerced by these other people to go play elsewhere, and he gets drugged and he gets sold into slavery. He's placed in the South, and so the movie is about seeing him trying to figure out how he can get away from the South and get back to his family, and just all the terrible things that happened to him along the way when he was kept as a slave in the plantation areas down in the South. There's a lot of things that happen in here. Let me see, what was his name? I forgot this actor's name because he's in here too. See if I can pick it up real quickly. No, I can't. I don't remember. Michael Fassbender. Yes, Michael Fassbender happens to be the slave owner that owns him and pretty much does the most the more terrible things to him. Brad Pitt's also in this movie, and he kind of plays one of these characters that is trying to help him. Primarily towards the end, and there was what's his name? Forgot the actor that played Khan in Into Darkness. He's in this movie too. I can't remember his name right now, unfortunately, but he's in this movie also towards the beginning of the film as well. So there are a lot of really known, recognized actors in this movie, and they all did amazing jobs, playing the roles that they did here. And again, just the performances, from everyone, especially the main character. Just seeing, his transformation, the level of emotion that he showcased in this movie was just unbelievable. It's like really something to admire, in terms of what an actor can do, and their capabilities, you know, and what they go through in order to embody a character is really something that's admiring. So, but I really enjoyed this movie a lot. You know, it's very strong. It's based on a novel of the same name, and it's just an amazing film, and it really earned the title of Oscar for Best Picture. You know, because it really was a great performance, and everyone did such a great job. So definitely, I say, if you haven't checked out 12 Years a Slave, you should definitely check it out because it's worth, you know, the time to watch it. You know, it's definitely worth it. So. Well, guys, that's pretty much all that I have. You know, again, it was just another small little selection of movies that I've seen during the past month or so. I have other movies that I need to be watching, or that I have watched, and I'm probably gonna save for the next one. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said before, give it a thumbs up if you like what I had to say about it. Leave me comments, give me suggestions for other things I should watch for the next video, and subscribe. You know, share this movie around with all your friends too, guys. All right. So again, thanks for watching. Stay safe and keep watching films, guys. All right.